Okay, so I want to talk about at least 5 different things that are important to understand about getting a bid on a pool to make sure you hire the right pool company. So, number one is price. You cannot hire price only. It's not going to work because most homeowners are not experts in the construction. And so, let me give you a quick example. I gave a bid to somebody and she didn't understand construction. She thought I was too high. She hired the cheap guy. So, guess what? She had to go, it was a disaster. Everything was a problem, everything. So, she had to come back, sue the guy, get her money back, or at least part of it, come back to me and hire me at a higher price now because prices have gone up and now I have to take out what they did. So now my price was here, what she thought was high. Now it's even higher. But this guy who was down here to begin with would have been up here if he would have included the right things to begin with and hired the right guys to do it. So you had a quality job to begin with. So price is a big deal. You cannot base your estimate on just price on who you want to use. And part of that also is number two, knowing your quote, knowing that your quote is accurate. So this is a big deal and happens all the time in our industry is on a quote, you want to have an itemized bid. You don't want to hire anybody that has one complete total price for the whole project. It needs to say um, the heater cost, the pump cost, the filter cost, the how many feet of drains they have when it comes into masonry work. This is so common. For instance, you could have a gigantic backyard and some knucklehead will say he has 50 feet of drains. Or he might just say drains. Well, you have to have how many feet of drains, number one. Number two, you have to know what size drains, how many feet of drains, and that gives you the ability to compare apples and apples from one estimate to another estimate. So that is super important. So the other part is number three would be false time frames. So many people want to sell the job. They're going to give you a price that's super cheap. They're not going to include things in their quote. Number three is false times. They'll come in here and say, oh, we could do this whole project, no problem. We could do it in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And that's probably a big lie, depending upon how big the job is. So it's very common. People give you false time frames. The other thing which I would watch out for, number four, is the person that always says yes to everything, because it's not the truth. When I meet with somebody, I say, do you want me to be a yes man where I could tell you yes to anything you want to hear? Or do you want me to tell you the truth of what's going to truly happen if you make that choice? This is what the consequence will be. You want to do this? This is the consequence. There's choices and consequences in everything we do. And so many pool builders will give you whatever you. And let me give you a quick example of this. This is early in my career, 40 years ago. I met with a homeowner. I remember her name, Mrs. Bell. And if she's listening to this, I apologize. She wanted a pool 3.5, 6, 3.5. She wanted a play pool, right? I said, okay, no problem. I built her a pool. She loved it, no problem. She called me when everything was done. This is 40 years ago. She goes, hey, Jeff, check out my pool. I love it. And I said, this looks great. And she goes, but guess what? It's a play pool. It's 3.5, 6, 3.5. And I go, she goes, I know this is what I wanted. That's what I asked for. But if I would have known I have no shallow end, I wouldn't have done it. So my problem was I wasn't educated enough at that time. That's 40 years ago. But if I was just a yes man, I would give people all they want. So I learned by my mistakes. That was a long time ago. And you want to make sure you hire someone who is willing to tell you the truth at every aspect, not just yes, no problem. Yes, I'll give you whatever you want. The last one, number five, I think is important is a relationship with the contractor. And not just the contractor, but the ownership or the superintendent who you'll be working with. Because we're married for anywhere from a few months to a year, depending upon how big the project is. And we actually like to have a good relationship with our homeowners because we're family for quite a while. And a lot of our homeowners, we're friends now after the jobs are done. But if we can't have a good relationship at the beginning, it's going to be a problem during the construction. We may not be the right pool builder for you, or vice versa. So we like to make sure we have a good connection, we can understand each other, we can be on the same page on things, so we can address issues if and when they come up. Because nobody's perfect, we all make mistakes, something could happen, but it's up to us, to matter of fact, to fix the problem.